folks waiting over here too. Um, turn the mic. Sorry. So I'll start by thanking my folks for providing a space on such short notice. I'd also like to thank everyone who brought food today. Thank you, or who made food. Uh, Food's important not only for our physical health but our mental health as well. So, it's good to be that we're all full of something before we start. And then finally, I'd like to thank everyone who showed up in recognition of the importance of the information we'll be covering today. As the U.S. government and military continue their effort in destabilizing Venezuela, Cuba, Iran, and other countries through economic sanctions and military invasions, masses of people are faced with direct effects that threaten their livelihood. Quality of life deteriorates, and the conditions for migration become more prevalent. For over 100 years, the United States has maintained this foreign policy of aggressive intervention that leads to the migration that it demonizes. It's important we understand this context as it ties the work we're doing today to the anti-imperialist, internationalist work we must also partake in. Writing from a Birmingham jail, Martin Luther King Jr. said, "Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. We are caught in an inescapable network of mutuality tied in a single garment of destiny. Whatever affects one directly affects all indirectly. The taxes taken out of your paychecks paid for both of the U.S. Tomahawk missiles dropped on the girls' elementary school in Iran that killed over 170 last month. The taxes taken out of your paycheck paid for the invasion of Venezuela that killed over 100 at the beginning of the year. And the taxes taken out of your paycheck pay for the ongoing genocide of the Palestinian people that's killed 75,200 in the 15 months following October 2023 and displaced millions since 1948. Every paycheck, we are robbed. Instead of investing in the education and health of our workforce, our government invests in the oppression of our friends, families, and neighbors with the weapons and technology tested on our brothers and sisters around the world. The imperial beast that is the United States government and the corporations it serves is an intimidating force, but it's not invincible, it's not immortal, and nothing lasts forever. We have a beautiful history of resistance here in the United States, from the Black Panthers Free Breakfast for Children program that served as the foundation of the National School Breakfast program we see in our schools today, to the Puerto Rican Young Lords takeover of the Lincoln Hospital that served as the foundation of the Patients' Bill of Rights we see in the hospitals today, and the Catholic left's break-in of the FBI office in Media, Pennsylvania that led to the discovery of the illegal FBI operations known as COINTELPRO. We have the lessons of struggles of those that came before us to guide our way. There's power and safety in community organizing, and as the world tumbles towards further chaos for the wealthy few, we have to be ready for anything that may come our way. If we are successful in overcoming the trials of history, we will serve as an example for not only our community, but neighboring communities as well. As long as there are oppressors and oppressed, there will be resistance. If anyone is capable of becoming the example of resistance we need, it's the friends and families that I have had the pleasure of spending my first 30 years on this beautiful planet with. And if I have the luxury of living another 30, I hope we can achieve this exemplary resistance together. Knowing our rights is a valuable asset for citizens and non-citizens alike. It wasn't long ago that the owner of a Peruvian restaurant here in New Jersey was detained for 6 weeks in Delaney Hall, despite being a citizen of the United States. With the Trump administration's big beautiful bill increasing ICE's budget by $75 billion over the next 4 years, it's possible we'll see an expansion of the ICE operation that's been taking place in Minnesota. So let the information we covered today empower you and to protect yourselves and your loved ones. And so with that, I'll start with our Know Your Rights slideshow. So we're gonna cover, who's ICE, how to identify ICE, what the protection. Oh, that's a little slow. I'm sorry. Yeah. We're gonna be covering how to protect yourselves at home, at work, and in the streets. How to prepare for the possible interactions you will be having with ICE, and what to do afterwards. And so we'll cover very briefly. ICE was founded in 2002. Its stated goal is to protect America through criminal investigations and enforcing immigration laws to preserve national security and public safety. And it is a part of the Department of Homeland Security. The big beautiful bill, 170 billion of additional funding to DHS, ICE, and CPB together. Who's at risk? as I talked about before, not only non-citizens but citizens as well. You know, especially if anybody is what is it working on uh, in any sort of activism of any sort of what is it that goes against the status quo. You know, so if you're an environmentalist, as we've seen with a lot of folks that work in the environmental spaces, immigration rights, Palestinian rights, all that sort of stuff. You know, women's rights. We will see these same tactics of repression used on all people that are trying to stand up for the oppressed. So it's important that we do, you know, get into this information. So some of the things you'll see ICE will have sometimes they'll have their badges. They'll have a vest that says police on it. And you know, here's some of the examples. I'm not sure if this is specifically for New Jersey, but you know, if you can see here on the screen that what they might look like, and sometimes they show up in civilian clothes, which is why it's so important. We also cover how to interact with ICE to make sure that we have like actual people, because we've seen cases of impersonators, you know. Um, so that's important. Also, the vehicles they utilize, they'll use unusual plates, out of state plates, dealer's plates, or no plates at all sometimes. Very dark tinted windows, and usually US made cars. So you'll see Ford Explorers, Ford Edge, Dodge Durangos, Chevy Impala, Silverado. Um, Home at work. So at home, some of your rights. You have the right to remain silent. That's a big one. We recommend to stay calm, record the interaction because that is within your rights as well. Call the Dire hotline, which we'll get to in just a minute, which is a very important phone number when we get to that point. If you don't have that number, make note of it, put it on your contacts, memorize it if possible. Ask to see a warrant. This is another big thing because DHS has a habit of utilizing their quote unquote warrants. DHS will show up with an order from their boss, right? And it'll say warrant on it, but it's not a warrant from a U.S. court. So without it being a legal warrant from the courts with the signature of a judge, it's not valid, and they can't do anything, right? And so they'll try to like lie to like say, okay, fine, you can come in, and then in the courts, you know, they can say, oh well, this individual gave me permission to come into my home, and so it's important you recognize if there's a valid warrant uh, being shown, right? You have the right again to record, take pictures. You want to document the interactions. What you don't want to do is, you know, willingly open up the door, cooperate with instructions, show any foreign ID. You also don't want to lie. Don't want to give a false ID, or don't sign anything. You know, if you do come across IC, that's best to have a lawyer. If you don't have a lawyer, again, you can call the Dire hotline, and they will provide you with resources free of charge. There are no fees whatsoever. The volunteers will help you out to the best of their abilities, and they are trained to do so. Don't say anything else except I don't consent to you entering my home. I don't want to talk to you without a lawyer present. Please leave. Uh, Agents may ignore you and may enter by force. And again, this is the importance of it, because if they are breaking the law, if there are any what's it called if they're not validating your rights, or you know, breaking the law against your rights, that can be challenged in the courts. So that's why it's important to go by the book, so you have a little bit of ammunition when it comes to challenging uh, the ICE in the courts. Because we have seen these infractions of people's rights. Again, like the gentleman in the Peruvian restaurant that was detained, even though he was a legal citizen, you know, he was profiled there. Um, we recommend carrying a red card and distributing amongst friends and family. A red card, I don't have it with me, but I'll see if I can pull up an example which has your rights. You know, which you can slide under the door. It'll be in English and Spanish, and I'd like to believe there's other languages if need be, that we might be able to find online of what your rights are, so you can let them know, like, hey, I'm familiar with my rights, which could serve as a deterrent. And could also, again, be brought into the courts, like, hey, I let them know that they were not allowed on my property, in my property, but they entered anyway without a warrant. And again, that could help you out in the court. So that's why that little red card is so useful sometimes. And then I can't stress it enough, that dire hotline, which we'll get to in just a second, is so important. And here it is. So if you don't have this phone number, I highly recommend take the next 30 seconds, minute, write it down, put it in your phone right now. Everybody who's in here, everybody who's listening, please have that phone number. Because again, if like you happen to be riding with a individual with brown or black skin, it's very likely that you can get pulled over if you're in the wrong neighborhood. And being profiled, they'll take everybody in that car. And especially if it's since we've seen this kind of behavior before. Deportations and Immigration Response Equipo is the what DIRE stands for, and DIRE navigators assist individual families facing immigration or detention crisis by pairing community volunteers who can listen and advocate based on individual situations and needs. Navigators are trained and supported by DIRE staff. You can text pictures of any documents you were given by ICE to the hotline. So not only is it useful for like in the moment, but like after the fact, like if somebody needs help getting to an immigration appointment of some sort and doesn't have a ride, they help out with rides. If somebody was detained and your family's afraid of going out to get groceries, you can call the hotline. They'll provide somebody who can do grocery runs for you. This is the kind of stuff they do. This is the kind of work they do. It's more than just in the moment, but also like other work that kind of revolves around it. So if very important phone number to have. It's also good because if you do get that one phone call and you could call a parent or something, but like how often do your parents actually pick up the phone, or your friend pick up the phone when they're at work, or DIRE hotline, they always got somebody on there. So that's why it's also important to have DIRE, because then you could let them know who to contact, so that one phone call becomes multiple. They can contact your family and friends multiple times. So if you do have to make that one phone call, DIRE would be a good option for that. Here we also have other hotlines, other groups that are getting involved. So the hotlines by county. I don't know if you can. On the screen it hasn't updated, but we have a couple of different groups. Like if you're in a good chunk of the United States, you will see Cosecha and DIRE are doing a lot of the work. New Labor, and that's the 888-347-3767 number. I don't know if I said that out loud, so I'll say it one more time. It's 888-347-3767. We also have other groups like Resistencia en Acción, which is operating mostly in Mercer County, and their number is 640-466-2386. You have El Pueblo Unido in the south, which is 609-200-1030. Spirit of Liberation in Hudson County, 201-616-2816. But you can find this graphic online. A lot of people are sharing it, and again, if depending on where you're at, you might want to jot down one or two numbers, especially if like you're within those two areas, or you work in one and live in the other. Useful to have. And then, so here's the warrant examples that I'm talking about. So on the in just a second, on the left hand side, we have a legitimate court warrant from the U.S. courts. On the bottom right, it needs to be signed by a judge, and it needs to have the correct address if they show up at your home, right? If you're not in your vehicle, if you're at a home or a workplace, they need to have the person's name they're looking for. They need to have the correct address or location. It needs to be valid. Oh yeah, there it is. Also until a certain date. So you want to make sure it all checks out, right? Like if it does come to it. You need to validate the warrant, make sure it's got all the information needed, or else it's not valid and they can't enter your home, they can't enter your property. Because doing so without a proper warrant is a violation of the law. And on the right-hand side, we have a warrant that is commonly seen, because it does take time to get a warrant from the courts. So what they'll do is they have their own form that does have the word warrant on it, but it's from the Department of Homeland Security and it's not valid. They can't do anything with that legally. So you'll see that on the top of the page, on the header, you'll see Department of Homeland Security. They won't, it's an ICE form. It's not legitimate. So if they have that, they can't do anything. So at home, again, I recommend, and a lot of folks are recommending, don't open up the door. Don't do anything. You don't respond to them. Don't talk to them. Contact your lawyer. Contact that DIRE hotline. And don't speak with them, because the thing is, if they have a legitimate warrant, they're gonna come in one way or another. If you're scared and you do want to talk to them, do so, but at least you recognize what to be looking for before you give permission, before you give that verbal consent, because that'll, if they break the law, if they don't have the necessary documentation to come into your home, to enter your car, enter the workplace, that could be challenged in the courts potentially. So if ICE does enter your home, remain calm. Ask for that judicial warrant. Make sure it all checks out. You have the right to ask for identification as well. Again, there's a lot of people impersonating ICE, so it's good to have that validation. If it, because again, if they're not showing documentation, it could be anybody. And people do take advantage of that. Just recently in Raritan, somebody was impersonating a cop. People do weird shit. Um, so another big thing, record the interaction, because that way you have that documentation as well if it comes to it, to challenge that in the courts. Um, don't say, and again, the recommended, just plead the fifth. Use your right to remain silent. You don't have to say anything. If you say anything, tell them I'm reaching out to my lawyer. I'm reaching out to. I'm not gonna talk to anybody without my lawyer. You can keep it at that. These phrases are legally significant, and saying them can help you in court. So, I don't agree with you being in my home. Please leave. I don't agree to your search. Don't answer any questions. Don't share the whereabouts of a loved one. Don't show any documentation except a valid U.S. passport or green card. Don't let them take a picture of your face. Don't let them do any of that. Some common tactics that we'll see, like I said, the fake warrants. They're gonna lie. They're going to impersonate local law enforcement. They'll trick you into signing things. Again, anything. Make sure it goes through a lawyer. Goes through like Dyer Hotline, volunteers that they'll be giving you information. They'll help you out. I don't know if I said it. Dyer also has rapid response. So if you are in a situation and there's volunteers by you and you reach out to the hotline, they can have people showing up, in minutes to help you out. So they can help document. They can help make sure that there's the proper documentation required. And in numbers, we've seen ICE agents give up because it's not worth the hassle of having a bunch of people scream at them with whistles and asking them if they're breaking the law and recording them, because oftentimes they are. So move on. I covered home quite a bit, but in reality, we're seeing a lot of folks in New Jersey, especially where they're grabbing folks at work, out in the public, in their vehicles. That's how we're seeing it mostly. So you have rights in the workplace as well. To enter your workplace, ICE needs a valid search warrant, just like the house. They need consent from an employer to enter non-public areas. So if there's like areas like the back of the counter, at a deli or something like that, or the storage room or whatever, they can't enter there without consent of your employer or with a legal warrant. So it's also important to talk to your workplace, especially if you have family and friends or coworkers in there that are not documented, or aren't not white. It's good to have these conversations if you're comfortable doing that in your workplace and talking with your people about that kind of thing. Don't run. Calmly make your way to a designated private area if they do enter the workplace. If ICE tries to enter, you can say, this is a private area. You can't enter without a judicial warrant signed by a judge. Do you have one? I think I don't know if it talks about it in this slide, but it's also recommended to label these locations if they are currently not in the workplace. Again, back of an office or a work vehicle, for example. So that way it's a lot clearer, And again, having all the documentation, having all these things labeled, having that info can help you out in the courts if it comes to it. Even if ICE does not have a warrant, they may still enforce force entry, which if they have that warrant, they're justified. But if not, again, it could be challenged in the courts. If ICE stops you, you can ask them, "Am I free to leave?" That's another big thing, because if they say yes or if they don't say no, more than likely, there's no There's no reason for holding you for the what's the word?
They're not legally detaining you.
Yeah, detaining. So yeah, you're not being detained. So if you're not being detained, you can walk away. Don't run, but calmly, just leave. Don't answer any questions. Don't talk to them anymore. Just ask them, am I being detained? Am I free to leave? Uh, Things like that. Again, the verbiage you use legally is we have these rights, but it's good to know like what kind of things to say and how you can get out of these situations. So, am I free to leave? Is a very important thing to notice. Eh? Again, big thing. You have the right to remain silent. You don't have to say a single thing. You can sit there and not say anything. I probably wouldn't hurt to be like, I'm reaching out to my lawyer, and that's it. I'm reaching out to my lawyer. I'm. Let's see if you don't have to cooperate with ICE directives. Show solidarity with your fellow workers and refuse to show ID even if you have it. So like, again, if you're working at a factory, and they're asking for everybody for their ID so they can split people up and start scooping people up, don't show ID. Just make it a little. Don't do their work for them. Essentially, is what I'm trying to get at here. Don't do their work for them. For employers, ICE can enter public spaces such as a lobby. Like anybody, like any patron enters in somewhere to get a coffee. The lobby or of a hotel room. It's they can enter there. But again, the private spaces where you have more control, where the employees and the bosses are at and all that. ICE needs again the judicial warrant or your consent to enter private areas. So if you have the ability, if you have the comfort, talk with your employer about that kind of stuff. I think we covered quite a bit of this. Another thing, again, record if you can with your camera. If you have like CCTV at work, even better, or a dash cam. You want to have those recordings on hand. So we'll move on to the street. So if you're in your vehicle, it's possible you'll get pulled over. If approaching your car by ICE, pull over safely. Keep your hands on the wheel. They may be in unmarked vehicles. Don't exit the vehicle. Again, call that dire hotline, and open the window slightly to talk, right? So you can hear what they have to say. If you want to do that, crack it open just a tad bit, and you have the right to ask questions. So you can ask them: Are you ICE? Are you the police? Why did you pull me over? Right? You want to know, like, if you do want to communicate with them, those are the things you can ask. Because if it is just a cop and you were speeding, okay, well, have a little conversation. Not worth fighting over something that you might have done. But again, have that cracked open, and then if it is ICE, you could ask for those warrants, right? Because just like the house, they don't have the right to enter your vehicle, right? They don't have the right to check your trunk and all that, unless they have a warrant. Or the suspicion of whatever, and again that could be argued in the courts, and a lot of the fighting. The reason for a lot of these knowing your rights is so you can have that struggle in the courts because of all the infractions we're seeing with ICE in particular. So again, don't exit the vehicle. Call the dire hotline. Again, it's 1-888-347-3767. Open the window slightly to talk. And again, you can, just like if you were walking around or at work, you can ask, "Am I free to leave? Am I being detained?" Especially if it's not the police. If it's ICE, then am I being detained? No, I'm leaving. And again, calmly take off, because they don't have the right to do anything. If they end up like T-boning you and like pulling you and doing all this crazy stuff, but that's you're a millionaire at that point. Take them to court. NJ drivers are required to carry a license, vehicle registration, and insurance. Passengers don't have to carry any ID or answer any questions, right? So if the person that's getting pulled over, the driver's the only target there. They don't need to be asking for ID of like the person you're with or auntie in the back seat. They don't need to know all that stuff. So you have the right to remain silent. Again, don't run or resist. You have the right to refuse a search of your car. So the verbiage here is, I don't consent to this search if they don't have the warrant and if they don't have the suspicion of whatever, I forget what the term is. That'll help you out if they do decide to crack open your trunk and or like break into your car. You have that possibility of taking them to court again. So you have the right to refuse to be fingerprinted as well. Invoke the Fourth Amendment as needed. ICE might approach you in the streets in plain clothes, as we've covered. Wearing masks, carrying no ID. Ask them to identify themselves. Again, this is big with impersonators we see. There's crazy dumb people out there. Ask, am I free to go? Am I being detained? Again, the verbiage is so important. If they say yes, don't answer any questions and just walk away calmly. Shit. I might have to fly through this one real quick. If they say no, that you are being detained, that you are not free to go, do not resist or run away. Assert your rights and state, I choose to remain silent. I want to speak to a lawyer. And then dial your hotline. This photo here is of a student with a valid student visa being taken for exercising our First Amendment rights. If y'all don't recall, this is that Columbia student walking, I think, back to class or to their dorm, and they were, scooped up by plainclothes ICE agents. So here, I think, I don't know if it covers it anymore, but that's another image from that incident. Searches, if they search your bags, state, quote unquote, I do not agree to this search, explicitly invoke the constitutional amendments, such as the Fourth. They may be looking for documents to prove your immigration status. Record the interaction. Again, recording is important. Taking notes during or after the fact. If someone, relative or a friend was taken or a coworker, jot down all that information, because that could be helpful. You don't know, like in the heat of the moment, how much afterwards you're gonna forget. So it's good to jot that down day of or like minutes after, preferably. You may do everything right and ICE can still arrest you. And again, that's why it's important to know these rights, to know when they've been violated, so that you can take them to court, so you can challenge them. Make it difficult for them to do what they're doing, right? How to prepare, identify emergency contacts, memorize their phone numbers. Y'all gotta tattoo it onto your forearm or something. Y'all need to have that information on hand if it does come to that situation. Especially if there's loved ones that depend on you. If you are a vital income to your household, you want to get out of. You're gonna want to get out of there as soon as possible. You want to have a plan in place. You want to have family members in the know. Like if something like that happens, what the family is gonna do. Who's staying where the kids are gonna be at, where grandma's gonna be at. We need to have a plan for all this stuff, because unprepared. It's possible we never have to deal with it, but it's also possible that we will. So it's better to have a plan, better to be safe than sorry. Keep important documents in a safe place. Keep digital copies that a trusted contact can have access to in case of an emergency. Proof of residence from the time you entered, like tax documents, utility bills, bank statements, lease agreements, medical information. All that stuff's important, to document like your time and all that stuff. Go over how to locate someone in case of a detention with your emergency contact. And I don't know if it covers it here. Oh, here. Memorize an A number. So if there is somebody with an A number, it's good to have that information, because if they are detained in that system, that's how you're going to be able to find them. And it does take like a couple of days, like maybe 2 or 3 days for their number to generate in the database. But with the A number, that's going to be how you find them. So that's an important piece of information to have. For certain folks, at the workplace, like I said, have an action plan with your coworkers. If you're comfortable speaking with maybe not your employer, but at least your coworkers, certain coworkers, have some sort of plan in place, or at least bring up these discussions, and wherever your workplace is at, have those discussions there, so that there could be some sort of work being done to prepare for this kind of situation. Again, if it's something that your workplace needs. Somebody at your workplace might need, signage, again, signs are important. Have signs up for restricted areas. Prepare your kids. Make sure child's emergency contact at school is up to date. Have a plan with the trusted emergency contact about your child's care in case you were detained. Keep all your children's important documents in a secure place. Ensure, documentation, power of attorney, all this stuff is very important. Afterwards, immediately after an encounter with ICE, take notes about what happened. Again, documentation is so important. If you were injured, seek medical attention. If you feel your rights have been violated, you can file a formal complaint. Reach out to immigration organizations like Cosecha, Resistencia, or legal advocates, American Friends Service Committee, Dyer, First Friends. There's a lot of groups that are doing work after the fact. All of y'all at the meeting, both online and here, y'all know me. So just reach out if y'all do come into a situation where y'all need to find out who to speak to and don't know where to go. If you're detained, big thing again, remain silent, ask to speak to a lawyer, Don't sign anything, and keep documents given to you by ICE. If they do show a warrant, take a picture of that. And if they do show up to your home, don't open up the door. Keep that locked. Open up a window. Crack a window open. Talk to them from the second floor, first floor, whatever. If you have a Ring camera or like a camera at the front door, you can use that, but preferably don't crack that open because then they could be like, oh well, the person at the house, they opened up their door for me, they'll say and if you don't have like footage of them like kicking down your door with you having it cracked open, the more documentation the better. Record, take notes, all that stuff, all that good stuff. Also, if there's witnesses, even better. If somebody was detained and they're in front of a coffee shop, you and your friend, if you run into the coffee shop, you're like, hey, did anybody see that? Can somebody like, write something up for me? Can I get your phone number? Make some connections there so you can help out whoever may have been taken. After arrest, you will be taken to another location for further questions if you are arrested. Remember, don't say anything without a lawyer present. After 2 or 3 days, your family can look for you in the system. Detained loved ones, go to locator.ice.gov. There you can search for an A number and country of origin. I think country of origin or by biographical information. Information usually available in a day or so. Find case info. You can call 1-800-898-7180. Have a number ready. If you're able to speak to them, ask the following questions and take detailed notes. Where are you? Because a lot of times folks are taken to they'll get scooped up here in Jersey, taken to Texas. So where are you? Do you need medical attention? What law enforcement agency arrested or detained you? What documents have you been given and what do they say? What do you have court dates or of a hearing scheduled? Have you spoken to an attorney? Detained loved ones. Once you locate your loved one, you can contact the detention facility to schedule calls and visits. If you don't know it already, find their A number, get all their documents in order, which is why it's so important to have it prepared beforehand, before the situation even arises. Have all this ready just in case it goes down. Immigration court does not guarantee you an attorney, even if you cannot afford one. If your loved one has an attorney, get in contact with them ASAP. If not, you or your loved one should ask the judge for more time to find a representative at their next court hearing. Reach out to several immigration attorneys' offices at once due to limited availability. And beware of scams. You can contact the Bar Association to ask if your attorney is in good standing. That's important. So I'll wrap it up there. If there's any questions in person or online, we'll go over that right now. So I'll start with the folks here. Does anybody have any questions? Anybody have clarifications they want? What's up?
I just have the forms that the immigration agency has. One is the I-200, I believe, and the other, it's the 200 and 205.
Yeah.
Those are the ones that they use, but they're not signed by the judge. So if they show you a 200 or 205 form, not good.
Those are like the fake warrants you're talking about?
Yeah, the warrants.
Yeah.
One is form 200, the other one is 205. They're by ICE. They're not signed by a lawyer.
Form 200 and Form 300. Okay. Oh, you'll have to show me that afterwards.
200 and 205.
Oh, 205? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
205. Oh, you'll have to show me that in a little bit. Any other questions, clarifications? What's up?
Can I just know what her question was?
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah. So it was more of a statement. We're talking about like the fake forms. So there's a 200 and a 205 form that they utilize. That's it's not legit. But that's the kind of stuff that they have been showing. But again, as long as you stick to the making sure it says U.S. court system, it doesn't say Department of Homeland Security at the header. It's signed by a judge. It has the right dates. It has the right person and address. You should be square. That's how you know it's a legit one. If it's not, again, they can't do anything. But it's just a clarification of the kinds of forms that they use, which.
So it'll be labeled not completely different, but it won't say like Homeland. It'll say whatever, like the courts or whatever. On the header of it, or is it a different form completely, like Form 205, Form 200?
Yeah, I'm not sure because I'm not familiar with those, so that's why I'm gonna check those out afterwards, and then if you want, I could send you what I found out about that. But the big thing is just making sure if it is one of those fake warrants, knowing what looks real, it'll be easier because they do show up with just pieces of paper sometimes. They'll print it out, they'll make it up themselves, or I guess the 200 and 205. But as long as it says, if it doesn't say U.S. courts If it's not signed by a judge, if it doesn't have the right address and name of an individual, and it doesn't have the like correct date, or it's past a certain date, oh shit.
You have less than 1 minute.
I do. Wait, are y'all still here? No, I think it closed.
It closed?
Yeah.
Ugh. Can you open another one?
Well, I'll keep it going because I think the YouTube. Well, let me see if I can send them to YouTube. Hold on. How do I share this? Hold on. Sorry, you guys. 2 seconds. What the heck? Share. Copy. Just a momento. Hold on. Paste. Sorry, it got cut off. Hopefully this works. All right. Let me know if you got a question, and I'll cover it. All right. So, I sent them the YouTube link, so hopefully that helps them out. You good dog. This being recorded. I'll have to edit this because it was that long pause. But all right, so I guess the YouTube's still going, so that's cool. Any other questions or clarifications? I'm sorry, Pei. I think you had one.
Do all non-citizens have an A number?
That I'm actually not familiar with. I was kind of going off the slides. I didn't have time to like look too much into that. Mom, could you give any
What is it?
the A number? Are you familiar?
Citizens have an A number?
Non-citizen, no.
No.
That's for people who have a residency or yeah.
Like green cards and
It's
stuff.
like an alien number.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Because I have a friend who's here. She was born in Canada, but she's Portuguese,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't know if she would have one.
She lives in Canada.
No, she was born in
Oh,
Canada.
she was born,
but
in
she's
Canada.
Portuguese.
What
Her family's from
Gotcha,
Portugal.
gotcha.
What's her status?
I think she's legal with like a visa.
A visa.
She got married like a year ago, but her shit's still not processed.
Actually, you know what? I work with siege cases, which is like juveniles coming in through the water without what is it, guardian,
Mhm.
and they are actually assigned an A number once they come in, and immigration takes your information. They assign you an A number. Not that I recall.
Yeah. So I got the question. If anybody missed that, was about the A number. So if I'm not too familiar with it, to be quite honest. So I'm assuming, I guess the best way to look into it, if you are not familiar with it either, if you do know somebody that isn't a citizen, and you're trying to like get their help them get their information together, should an occasion arise, ask them if they do have an A number, right? If I'd like to believe they'd know, and that'll be best, I think. Any other questions here in the room?
Any question?
All right. I guess that's it for questions. Yeah. All right. Well, I appreciate everybody coming out and showing up online. Y'all are cool as hell. Thanks for giving me a little time of your day, and hopefully the information that we covered today helps y'all out. If hopefully you don't need it, but again, it's better to be safe than sorry, and it's better to be prepared for this kind of stuff. So, thank you. And thank you.